All right. Good evening, Hobby World.
What's up?
Thanks for joining us tonight with episode, what is this, 3 of Hobby Roundtable. Joining me tonight was Bo with 1 Million Cubs. Got Mark at Mark Hoyle 4. Dan, Korean Cardboard. Matt Royal 417. George, KBO Collections. And Ken with Dean's Beat Card Blog. And we got a couple other guys that may pop in here a little later on, but we're going to pick up and move on. And when they show up, they will show up. So how's everybody doing?
Excellent.
Pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I must be doing good if I'm putting on like a Samsung Lions uniform today. I did it in honor of Dan. Actually, because we're planning to, if everything works out, go to that game in a couple of weeks, I figured I would break out the Samsung jersey and put it on and see how it feels, you know, stuff like that. Because at that game, I have no dog in the race, right? It's going to be the Twins and the Lions. So, you know, support the home team.
Right?
They would know those names, Samsung and LG.
Yeah.
The two big corporates, Samsung versus LG.
It is. It's the corporate series.
That's like the charity softball games around here when it's the police department versus the fire department.
Right. Yeah.
What did we lose, Mark? We did.
Yeah. Mark ran away. He heard Samsung and like he left.
There he is.
This is one of my favorite uniforms though. I like this uniform.
That is one of mine for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of got the Detroit Lion look to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I guess it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it is a lion, so I guess yeah.
Right.
I was looking more at
colors.
color. So
Same
What's up,
colors.
Mark?
So yeah.
well,
Kids over there packaging stuff.
What are you sleeving, Ken?
Yeah.
he's wide open.
Oh, just
I can't wait to hear.
just stuff to send off for consignment.
Nice.
Nothing overwhelming or fantastic or anything like that. The 1991 Augusta Pirates team set.
Ooh. Not bad. Not bad.
Not
Like those
good. Not
dollars.
good.
Not bad.
I'm
Not
trying to
bad.
think of who would have been in Augusta.
way,
There were a couple guys that saw some major league time. One you might know, Bo, because he ended up playing with the Cubs.
I was just going to guess, is John Lieber?
I don't believe so.
Ooh.
He was an outfielder.
Whew. 91.
And actually from the state of West Virginia. Thought that helped too.
You'll have to tell me.
Scott Bullitt.
Okay, that's a deep dive.
I mean, hey, he had major league cards with the Cubs, so you got to have one somewhere.
But it would have taken me a while. I would have named a lot of names before I got to Scott Bullitt.
I'm looking at Steve Cook. He pitched for them for a handful of years, I think.
Yep.
And Mark Johnson was a first baseman. Those are the only ones I know.
D. Lee, what's that set?
That's what Dan is sending to you.
Oh, nice.
It's that Chicago Tribune, right, Dan?
Yes, 2008.
I've
I
never
believe.
seen those.
I thought
By the way,
he showed them to you.
it's okay. I did, but I forgive him. He's holding up. I think.
Was it after hours? After I'd had a few Bud Lights?
No, it was during one of your shows. I just said that I was going to send you some stuff from.
Okay, I apologize.
Anyway, that Tribune set had White Sox and Cubs cards. I'm sending the Cubs cards to somebody else, but the Cubs set I'm sending. They were set there. I think they were in 4 different weeks, and those are weeks 1, 2, and 3. I think so. You'd have to just buy the 4th one.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, you're
So
getting.
we'll go ahead, guys. we'll go ahead and jump in a couple of these topics here and carry on in between. But the first one I had was the Mickey Mantle estate signing back with Topps. Just kind of want to know where y'all thought that would mean for how's Topps going to use this other than obviously we've already seen it in Project 70, but are they gonna? There can't be a ton of autographs. So is it? Do you think it's going to be something they're going to use just in the base, or they're going to come out with like a Mickey Mantle exclusive, direct to order type deal, or just what y'all thought about it?
Every card number 7 from here on out.
Right. I think they'll be doing card 7. I think they will do some autographs because you can pick. I think they'll be doing some cut autograph booklet and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can pick up a Mantle autograph just on a postcard for like a few $100, $200 or $300.
Yeah,
I could see them buying up.
They better make those things
buying up in bulk and putting those in booklets and stuff. So yeah,
I mean, look what they're doing with Gina. So it's going to be that on steroids.
Yeah,
right.
Hey, Mark, turn up your mic, please.
Yeah, there's going to be I think there's going to be like a similar Jeter set for Mantle. They're going to put him in various products. He'll probably be number 7 in the base set.
Right.
They did that. What started in 90? Was it 6?
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Was
And it ended in
96 is when they had the subset with the reprint Mantles.
Yeah.
And I think that's when they had dedicated the number 7 to Mickey Mantle every year.
Uh-huh.
And I guess that stopped in 2016. I don't know, because I was out for a while.
right.
I thought it was
Something
before
like
then, but I can't remember.
Well, this one was the 2010. So. It was
Okay. So it was more current than I thought.
Those 1996 ones, though, that probably one of my top 10 pulls I ever had was out of that. I pulled out of a pack from Walmart. I pulled the 52 Mantle refractor, and it, at that time the Beckett value, wink, wink, nod, nod, was like $500 or $600.
Mm.
And I ended up years ago. I wish I still had it. I wish I hadn't traded it off, but I traded it. And another one of my big pulls I had, Marshall Faulk, Collector's Choice, his rookie, the gold parallel. You can't even see those things, but I traded those, and honestly, like a 2-row box for a Jim Brown rookie 20-something years ago. I wish I had those 2 cards back, but I don't know if I'd trade them for the Brown right now, so I guess it all worked out. But yeah, I pulled that 52 refractor, and that was pretty cool. But at this point, you guys know I'm not the biggest baseball collector, but they're going to do with Mantle what they do with Jeter, and everybody's going to be Mickey Mantled out if they're not already. Everybody's going to be Mickey Mantled out, and because what we need are more Yankees cards, and specifically what y'all that are collecting Project 70 need are more fucking Yankees cards. It's like 77% Yankees. Thanks a fucking lot, Topps.
I know that we were talking about the insert set with the Mantle. I've got it somewhere, and I had actually started trying to build the subset and came up, I think, about 6 cards short. I need to pull that back out and try to finish it.
What is it? Like the number on the Yankees in Project 70 is something at like 30% so far, and it's going to cost if you bought the Yankees, if it stays on pace. And I think it will. I think it will stay on pace because
Probably.
these artists all pulled from the same list, and they're all pulling these big recognizable names from these big cities in California or New York or something like that. And that's what they're doing. So they're all going to have one. So it's probably going to cost about $4,000 to pick up just the Yankees in that.
Yeah.
And I would say that Mickey Mantle is going to have 20 cards. Or sorry,
Yeah.
not 20, like 50, 51 cards. Because there are 51 artists, right? Guarantee you he has 51. Every one of them's going to do
But
one.
here's the thing, though. They supposedly they had all had to turn in the list of players before this thing started, which was before the deal went through with the Mantle family. So
I think it's
I'm
subject to
assuming
change
they're
because
letting them
there's already
retract.
been 2 mantles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They must have let them go back and retract and change.
Yeah.
But there's one
I'll bet
artist.
they knew that Mantle was going to sign. The family was going to give him that opportunity.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'll bet we see close to 51 Mantles.
yeah.
Yeah,
What is
I-
There's one artist. There's one artist that he's already said that he's not doing anything but Yankees.
right.
What
I mean,
He's a douche canoe, and that's what you get when you let the damn inmates run the asylum. Fuck those guys, and the cops should be telling them what the hell to do. But then, then you'd only get like 3 less Yankees cards, but whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
And in
Hey,
most cases,
we went 2 days without a Yankee. Thursday and Friday, there was not a Yankee card.
Right.
Maybe Dodgers.
Right.
What's
I
that?
think
I feel like the Dodgers are second.
They are. Yeah.
Dodgers are second. Yeah.
Cubs are probably last. What
What's
is
that?
it? Was there been one
Red Sox.
Cubs card?
One Red
Bud?
Sox.
One Red
I'm waiting,
Sox.
I'm waiting to see the Diamondbacks. They're getting none.
Yeah, you're going to be waiting a while.
Somebody will do a Randy Johnson and a Diamondbacks probably eventually.
There you
But yeah,
Was,
like
Was he with the
But no, I
Was he with the Diamondbacks when he hit that bird?
Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle.
Mariner.
Was it
yeah, he
Mariners?
was with the Mariners.
I-
He was with the Diamondbacks when he won the series.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I think well, what you were saying about the list is I remember in one of Blake's streams, he said that Topps gave them leeway to pick like 3 or 4 at a later date.
Oh, okay.
So they submitted their list, but I think he said that Topps was going to allow them to change up to like 3 or 4 or something like that if they wanted to. And I think that was based on because of like, if you see, because the artists, right, if they see a bunch of this one player selling, they're all going to jump on that bandwagon because they want to get that money, right? So, and then
Herman, are you buying all the Acuñas? You buying the Acuñas? You'll have 51 of them.
I haven't. Well, I did buy one.
Everybody's going to do it.
by the way,
But I'm gonna say I'm not really going after the Braves per se. I'm doing one artist.
right,
So I'm doing the Blake Jameson.
right.
I did all his through Project 2020. So I figure if I'm just gonna keep going with his. Unless now if I see one that just catches my eye and like, ooh, I gotta have that or whatever. Which now there was one Aaron card that came out that I wish I missed it. But I'll probably go back and pick it up.
Right. So here's another thing too, and this is like, so I heard that, and this is from watching Blake streams, but I had heard that well, I don't necessarily know that the last, but each artist is going to do 1 or 2 stadiums. So they're not all going to be just players. So they're going to do, because each artist is doing 20 of each. So I think they're actually only doing 18 players and 2 stadium type cards or something.
Really?
I think
So-
they're doing rap. I think they're doing rappers too.
Oh, sorry, rappers. That's what I meant. Rappers, not stadiums. Rappers. Yeah.
Oh, you talking about like rapper, like card rappers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
not like Snoop Dogg rappers.
like
Okay.
these.
He's in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was thinking stadiums because I see all the artists doing the companion stadium cards, and that's what made me think. But yeah, wrappers. So
Right.
So that's like, I don't know. What do you think about those print runs? I think those are going to be not great.
For the wrapper?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what year they do.
Right.
Which I mean, I would obviously I'm gonna have to buy the Jameson because I'm trying to buy the whole print run of his. But
Right.
if an artist does a 72 wrapper, then I'm gonna get it.
What if they all do a 72?
Then I'm just gonna pick one and go with it. I don't need them all. I don't need them all.
Yeah.
I don't even know how. Go ahead.
So I got a question for Bo. So let's say that now, but they're not. But like, let's say that they did one wrapper in one stadium. Each artist did one wrapper in one stadium. What if all of the, or all of them got to do a stadium? What if one of them did Cubs? Because you know that some of them are going to do because they want the ivy on the wall and stuff like that. What would you do? Would you Cubs card? Not a Cubs card? If it's not a player, it's a stadium.
I mean, if there's a card, if there's stadium cards in Topps, I count it as if it's a Wrigley Field card, I count it as a Cubs card.
Oh, okay, cool. I was just curious because I was like, well, it doesn't have a player, but it is a stadium. It's it's Wrigley. So, and if it says like Wrigley on it,
yeah.
It's a Cubs.
Would they do the green ivy or would they do the brown ivy?
Hopefully green. Yeah, I kind of categorize those as like a team card, basically.
Okay, yeah.
F-Dot did a five card stadium set. He already did one.
Mm-hmm.
Fenway was in it. I think LA was in it. I forgot who else. It was 5 of them.
Right.
Who was that?
F-Dot. He did it in between Project 2020 and Project 70. It
Oh,
was like a
okay.
5-card set. I bought the Fenway one. It's pretty cool.
Right.
It's a Red Sox.
By the way, we got to get off this topic so Ken can join back in.
Yeah, he is.
I know
He's completely zoned out.
He muted us.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's see. We'll move on. You with us, Ken?
They will do. They will do a Mantle exclusive. I guarantee it. Somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. They would. I mean, they got to get their money's worth, so they'll be online exclusives, and I'm almost sure that But here's the thing: do you think they'll push him into Series 2? Or is that already set?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, the only thing they could do would be an insert set for Mantle in Series 2.
A 7-card insert set.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, where would you put him? I mean, like, and when I say where would you put him, I mean, like, because you would want to reserve 7 for him, correct? So I don't know.
I think for sure. Probably not like in the base set, but definitely an insert set. And I mean, just like with Project 70, I mean, this is a really big deal. So they'll make, they'll make an adjustment on the run. And plus it's only April 17th. So there's a lot of guys that will debut like this month for a rookie card that'll show up in Series 2. So, it's not like a finalized checklist at this point. So there's still plenty of time to get him in. So is it going to be a special insert? Probably, just to, shove it down our throats. But even if they don't, there's what are the current inserts, like Legends in the Making? I don't know if that's current now, but there's a lot of insert sets, or there's a couple insert sets that have legends, veterans, Hall of Famers that, they can throw him in. I'm laughing at Ken's comment here.
Me too. I was laughing at that as well. Don't worry, Ken. We're done. We're talking about Mantle again, and we're talking about an insert in Series 2. What do you think about it, Ken? Nothing.
I couldn't care any less about this shit if I was dead. All right, I'll go back to my Indy card. Have fun.
All right, we'll move on. We'll move on. All right, so it's everybody collects different. I mean, Bo collects pretty much anything and everything Cubs.
I hoard.
Yeah, and it's all Cubs, and then Mark does Red Sox. I do Braves, but
I'm just here for the card show talk.
Right, and we'll get there.
That's what I want to. That's what I want to hear about.
And I think it was Matt that brought this up about different ways to PC. Am I right, Matt? Am I wrong?
Well, we talked about that. So yeah. I mean, you had that on the list, I think, but
yeah.
Well, Ken can talk in this one.
Yep, but like for me, I do base like flagship sets, and then outside of that, I got like 2 players I PC and 1 team. Anything outside of that,
you should go one by one. Go start.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought I was going.
Herman just went. All right.
I thought I was in the middle of going. I don't know what. Okay, go ahead.
Talk just to stay what we're talking about, how we collect. So I think we should start. All right, Herman, you start, and we'll go up this way. Then we'll go Bo, then George, then Ken, then me, then Matt, and then Mark.
I got you.
Go.
Good. All right. Back to what I was saying. But yeah, no, like I said, I do base team sets. Or a base flagship set that I got Freeman and Dale Murphy. That's my main PCs, and then the Braves, which is usually just top brand. I don't really go after Panini and all that stuff on them, but
Right.
anything outside of that, if it's a White Sox or Red Sox or Royals, I don't. I set them aside.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's pretty much how I collect. I don't go after rookies. I don't chase rookies. I don't chase prospects. Any of that. So Bo,
Right.
I guess it's your turn.
All right, sweet. Well, I collect Cubs.
Any and all.
I
how
hoard
many do you
everything.
collect?
I will buy 1,200 1978 Topps Rick Rushells when they come available, like I did a couple years ago. I will buy a Gary Scott autographed baseball, which I did today at the card show, and I won't about the card show too much, but I will say that one of the vendors at the show had this Gary Scott auto baseball, and I'm like, is that Gary Scott? It was the only baseball he had. He had all cards and that baseball, and he's like $10, and I'm like, freaking sold. So he laughed it off, and he goes, so I brought 2 things that I never thought I would ever sell, and both of them sold. One was that Gary Scott autographed baseball, and he sold a 1988 Topps factory set, like the worst set of Topps history. And he sold those 2 items. So he went home happy for selling those two items. So I collect anything and everything Cubs. I'll collect random pieces of memorabilia, obviously cards, anything Cubs, I'll collect, and I don't care. I will buy cards to flip and sell on eBay, so I can buy more Cubs cards or Cubs memorabilia. But as far as my PC goes, it's Cubs and Cubs only. Anything that is non-Cubs is open for trade and open for sale, but anything that I have that's Cubs is PC. And even if a 1991 Topps Don Zimmer sells for $15, as much as it pains me to hold on to them, I keep them.
Right.
And let me tell you, I was tempted a few times to put those suckers on eBay because they're
you didn't put one up.
What's that?
You mean you didn't put one up?
I didn't put a single one up. I pulled out just from a random box. I pulled like 50 some out.
Oh, you
You did your little modeling.
You did a
modeling shoot.
I did some photo ops with them. But that's the extent. They went back in a box, didn't sell a single one. I should. It's dumb. Like, I mean, I have 500 of them probably.
Right.
So what, selling 50, I could go out and buy a T206 or a Chris Bryant Chrome Auto, but I'm a sucker and don't sell my Cub stuff. So that's how I PC.
I have to admit, I did sell 3 of them.
Good, make that money.
I couldn't. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna throw them up. I put 2 up for auction. I put 1 up for buy it now, and all 3 of them sold. And I have not heard a word back from them. So more power to them.
Right.
I even had positive feedback.
Awesome. It's the
I
Zim
think I
Zone.
sent you a couple, Bo. I think I sent you some in that box, Bo. A couple Zim.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was at least one.
Hey,
I
Mark,
think
just
it was
throw it
2 I
away
laughed
money.
when I put them in there.
Mark, just throw it away money. All right, Jordan, you wanna share yours?
So yeah, I mean, like for me in terms of collecting, it's basically Cardinals. But one thing that I started doing, and this is just something that I've kind of gotten intrigued with and kind of gotten more into, is player runs. So I collect just all Cardinals. But then I started doing player runs, and which has actually evolved into small player collections of some guys like Arenado, like Paul Goldschmidt, stuff like that. So, and I've gone back and I've bought their, like say their tops, like the rookie cards and the second year and third year and fourth year. And now I'm going back and I'm also picking up different parallels and things like that. So, and that's just something that I'm doing. And additionally, I've started doing stuff like Pujols. I've started doing like Pujols player runs. I mean, I collect a lot of players that basically have a tie to the Cardinals, and that's what I'm doing. Like, but not everybody, right? So for example, John Smoltz was with the Cardinals for like a hot minute. I'm not going to go do a John Smoltz player run, even though he's a Hall of Famer and all. Like that's not, I have no intention of doing a John Smoltz player run. Like I would take his Cardinals card, but that's all I need. But that's kind of what I've been doing. And then I also collect KBO. So again, team stuff. So like I was showing earlier in the before hours, stuff like team collections. Like this is basically Doosan team sets, all binded up. So yeah, stuff like that. That's what I collect. So on to Ken.
I got a question for you first.
Yeah,
you referred to talking about Smoltz having a affiliation with the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
I watched they did an interview with Freddie Freeman this week talking about his parents, and they shared some video clips, and his rec ball or travel ball team was the Cardinals.
Right.
So, I mean, is that something you go after? I'm sorry, I had to. I couldn't, because when I saw that he had a Cardinals jersey on, I was like, George might be going after my Freemans.
No, man. No, dude. Like, well, so talking about that, what's so funny about that is it's like I must have been the only kid in a league back in the day that wasn't affiliated with some team. Like, we were straight up like the fucking like Carthage hardware and discount. Like that was the name of our team. Like the name of our team was like Piggly Wiggly. Eastmart.
We still have them. We have those. We
Right.
didn't even have that. We had like gray. Like one league I was in, we had gray, white, and maroon because that was the school colors. So like
Right.
I think it was like, it wasn't Little League, but it was like Pony League or something. And we just had
Right.
color names. So we didn't even have
Right.
sponsors.
Yep.
I've sponsored
we had
many I've sponsored many teams. It's just my company name on the back. They don't have any affiliation, nothing.
right.
It's awesome.
I mean, yeah, that's cool. Like, I mean, and I love it. Like, I think it's great. It's just so funny. It's like I see all of these professional players now, and they'll show off their little league pictures and stuff like that. And they're all wearing like a Cardinals or a Cubs or a Braves or whatever. And it's like, dude, you get back in the fucking 80s, like when I was playing, it's like, you know, straight up, it was like hardware store.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, and it was like, we didn't have an animal. We didn't have nothing. Like we were just the hardware store. Who you playing next week? The hardware store. You know,
It's like beer league softball.
exactly. And like on our hats, it would just be like the initials of the business. It'd be like Jake's Hardware or something. It'd be like JH or something like that. It'd be on our hat. And yeah.
All right, Ken, how do you collect or PC?
I collect 1988 tops.
And Project 70.
Right.
No, I don't collect that. You know, I'm with George though. I got to say that that 25-1 record that we had when I played for the Buchanan Insurance Agency, that was the height of my baseball career. And then it was Laurel Vending, and then CW Arts, and then I moved up to Econo Lodge.
Ooh,
Man.
I got a question. Ken, when you caught that major leaguer, what team were you on when you were buddies? When you were his catcher, the guy who
Oh, the
became
guy
pro?
that made it up to AA.
Yeah, which team was what team was he on when you caught him?
Yeah, those were the two Buchanan Insurance Agency years. Definitely. And then I moved to a different league, so I couldn't play. I moved to playing at a different park, so I could move up leagues a year sooner than they could. That worked out well for me, as you can tell.
right.
So, if we're gonna get serious here, then we talk about what we collect. So, I have a problem that I don't think a lot of people in the hobby do, because I have collected continuously since I started in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was a kid then, it was reasonably possible to collect everything, because there were 3 baseball sets, a football set, I wasn't into basketball or hockey, but there were basically one set a year.
Right.
And as I got a little older, I was in, a teen, and I got a job, and there were more sets, and I couldn't collect everything, but I still could collect all 4 sports, and I collected racing too, so I could collect 5 sports. But part of the problem for me is I grew up that way, and I still feel like I'm that way, so I collect too much. Too many different things, too many different projects I want to collect. So I'm going to go over to my trading card database profile. It's this collect, and here I have Indianapolis 500 IndyCar, James Bond autographs, former WVU Mountaineers, top buybacks, Charles Barkley, Jason Williams, Bob Sir, Russ Davis, Will Clark, Jeremy Roenick, Fort Worth and Galveston baseball, 36 set, T37 set, T206 cards, T210 Fort Worth, Galveston, Dallas, and Birmingham. So there you go. And I don't know. There's no idea how many damn things I left off there. So at me, the problem is that I grew up that way. I've talked about. I know I've said it on other shows or wherever. I envy some of the new collectors that are very focused. I admire a lot of you guys are very focused as well, to your team, to your players. And for whatever reason, I just have not been able to do that. But I started downsizing a couple of years ago. I'm starting to downsize again. And basically, I just want to keep stuff that evokes some kind of memory or nostalgia for me. So while Bo, and then I talked about the 88 Topps. Well, I have 2 boxes of that on my unopened box shelf because I want to put that set back together because, it's going to take me back to 9 years old. And it's a garbage set. I mean, I would be better off to have bought the factory set at the card show today than to spend, $10 on a wax box that I needed to actually buy 2 of to put it together. But yeah, that's my thing. And I mean, there's probably things you all know I collect, or you've heard me that I collect that I didn't even mention there. So definitely trying to reel that back. We're trying, my household, we're trying to downsize a little bit. So if card doesn't give me some memory, doesn't remind me of something, if it's just a card, I don't need it. So I'm looking to move that on. Collect, the stuff that really means something. And like I said, I'm getting more into the Indy 500 related stuff. And a few 90s things that are out there are still super cheap. So, I don't have to go spend an arm and a leg on, because I'm buying some Charles Barkley card that's ridiculously priced. So my answer is too much.
Nothing wrong with giving a left testicle for a card as long as you still got a right one left.
Well, we've already decided not to have any more kids, so I can give up 1 or 2 of them.
All right,
Okay.
Dan, I think that gets us to you.
Alrighty. KBO cards. Lee Sung-yup, who's a retired Korean baseball player. I player collect him, and I, as you know, all know, I player collect Mark Burley, and I also minorly collect a lot of receivers like Jerry Rice, Chris Carter, Sterling Sharp, Herman Moore. Who else? A few others. I also minorly collect what's his name? Joe Creedy, Aaron Rowand, and John Garland, who were on the 05 championship White Sox team. I do collect some of their cards as well. I think and I collect foreign player cards in Japan. I've been collecting a lot of those in the past 5-6 months for a project. I create baseball card sets for foreigners in KBO. I think, and obviously Korean baseball card sets. I think so. I just main collect 2 players and KBO sets. I think that's most of what I collect. I do collect some non-sport cards here and there, but I think that's about it.
Did you mention Dominique Wilkins?
I did not. Yes, I do. Oh, I'm sorry. A very little bit of Steve Eiserman. I do have a bunch of Dominique Wilkins, and I know there's a receiver I'm missing. I'm forgetting somebody, but yeah. I mean, I'll go on Sport Lots and I'll buy a lot of the 18-cent cards with the guy who has like 0 shipping for box shipping, or very low shipping, and I'll buy a lot of them that way. And then they'll just go into a box and I'll never look at them again. So that's usually how I work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about it. Your turn, Matt.
I wish I still had my 7th and 8th grade basketball shoes, the old Brooks Dominique Wilkins shoe. So,
Yeah.
so, kind of saying what Ken said, I started a little bit earlier. I started in 1980, but you could collect everything. Mm-hmm. Even when 81 hit and you have Donruss and Fleer, you can still collect everything. And outside of probably 2 years when I started teaching out of college, I've been pretty consistent from then until now. Some years more than others, but I used to be in the habit of, up until, well, probably 2 years ago, buying wax boxes of just about every Topps product except the high end stuff. And now I haven't bought a wax box for really 2 years.
Right.
Everything collated sets or getting the team sets here or there. So when those boxes went, when just a regular wax box went to 120, 130, 150, I was like, screw that, I'm out. So it's like the top series one this year, which I mean, I collect top sets. Series one collated set, I spent $20 on eBay and got it shipped to me, and didn't buy one wax pack. I found a couple hanger boxes at Target one night, so wanted to rip them. So I opened those, but other than that, I really haven't bought anything new. So my PC is basically top sets from 73 on. I'm currently working on, I pretty much have everything except 74 and 76. And then there's a couple, I think in the 2000s I don't have, but currently working on 74 right now. I'm about 10 cards shy of that, having that completed, but occasionally I will go back and do something before that. Just finished 56 in November at the Dallas Card Show, where I picked up my Jackie Robinson, Ted Williams cards there. So I do go back and do that. George Brett is my true player collection, and has been since I started following baseball when I was 5 or 6. So still collect him. I do collect Royals team sets, and I'll collect any team set. So I may get a box of random Royals and put together a 87 Donruss team set. So that's another thing. Kansas born players, I collect them. So kind of like Ken in West Virginia, Kansas is my thing. So that's really as far as cards go, top sets, Brett and Royals team sets, and then Kansas players. So I've got some other collections. I collect Royals stuff. I got all the stadium giveaway bobbleheads they've ever done. So I collect those. I got some like autograph picks of the Royals, especially the 15 World Series team. But other than that, I'm looking at downsizing. So,
Aren't we all?
well, yeah. I've got over here to my right, I've got, I don't know, 50 shoe boxes full of cards from really 75 on. And I, for the most part, just want to get rid of everything except the Royals. So, some of you maybe, if you're interested, I probably need to put together a Cubs collection and ship it to Bo. So, but that's kind of my summer project coming up, is trying to whittle all that stuff out and move it on, because it's just sitting here and it'll sit here. It's sit here for 20 years and it's going to sit here for another 20 years. So somebody else may as well have some of that stuff. So I'll go pick out if I need anything for my sets, but outside of that, that's my summer project as far as cards, is getting rid of some of that stuff.
So here's something I wanted to ask real quick, and this is just something that I find funny. So you said you bought the 2021 like complete hand collated set for like $20,
yep.
and that's what they're going for. My question is this: why do people do that and sell them like that when they could piece out the top rookies and make more than that?
And I don't know, but I think some people figured that out, because this year it was harder to find a cheap collated set than it's ever been. And I think that's because people are doing just that. They're starting to move. Yeah, I don't know why they would sell a collated set if for $20 when they can sell 5 cards for $20 and then start piecing the rest of it out.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing.
If they really want to make money, that's the way to do it. So
right. And I do, like, I've sold some hand collated sets here in Korea, because sometimes I would bust a lot of product. and I would end up like with 2 sets or 3 sets. What I would do is I would always price them at what I could get for the top cards, you know. And so, like, let's say that there are 10 top cards in it, and I could get $3 a piece for them. Then I would price the set at like $35 or something like that. But then I would look on eBay, and they're selling for like 15. It's like, why are people selling them for 15 when they could be selling them for like 30 or 35? People are dumb, I think.
Well, and they were, I mean, like the Series 1, I got mine for 20, but they were selling from 20 to 60.
Right.
So,
yeah.
you know, but
I'll wait till the end of the year and buy it.
Yeah. And it was drying up pretty quickly. I usually try to buy them when they come out.
Right.
But the number of sets that were out there was kind of drying up on eBay. So if sometimes the card shops in Kansas City will have them, but it's kind of hit and miss. So if I can get it for 20 on eBay, I'm gonna get it. And ended up somebody in Wichita, which is about 2 hours away, had it. So
Yeah.
I got it shipped to me.
You know, I thought the same thing about the Heritage whenever when they started dragging their feet about releasing the retail boxes, which is what I was going to open to build my sets. I'm like, well, and I think I told Bo this, you know, at this point, I almost just want to sell the boxes and buy the set. But, you know, after I got the boxes today, before I decided to open them, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to look and see. You can't find the complete set of Heritage right now anywhere. Not with high number. I don't know if y'all seen it or not, but what is that?
This is for Ken. This is my collection right here, Ken.
Top Shot.
George, go eat. Hey, you can eat a big bag of big dicks for all I care.
Look right there, Ken. Look right there.
All right, let's move on. We got
you know we love you, man.
We got Steph just joined in with us. Steph, we're talking about collections and how we PC. Right now we got Mark. I think we have to you. So you
Mark, then Steph.
I don't think there's anybody out there that doesn't know I collect Red Sox. So
yeah,
it's
and Pokemon.
T207s. I even got a set earlier than that. I got the 1904 Fan Craze set. That's my earliest one. As far as any new stuff goes, I don't rip any packs. I haven't done it in 30 years. I just buy a team set, and at the end of the year, I'll buy the top set. I'm probably the oldest one here. I started in '69. So I have my top sets back to 1970 right now, and I got the 67 set done. I think I'm done doing that. I'll just keep buying the new ones. As far as Red Sox, I concentrate on the 67 team, and anybody who played on that team, I'll PC them. So even if they only played 5 games, I will go for every card that they ever made. So that's why I got, stuff like this. This is from the buybacks this year. Who's that? Ken Brett.
Ken Brett.
So Ken Brett, he's with the Brewers, but he was on the 67 team. He was 19. So I'll buy anything Ken Brett. I got the Lonborg too. So I'll PC any of that. Any guys from Massachusetts or New England, I'll collect, whether they played college ball here, minor league stuff. I have more oddball stuff. I took all my cards out of a binder, but I bindered all my oddball stuff, and I probably have 30 binders of Red Sox oddball stuff. I probably have 2,000 postcards, just Red Sox. So I don't do balls. I probably have 5 signed balls. I probably 3 bobbleheads and maybe a half dozen full-size pennants, but I'll fill up a binder. I have vintage mini pennants back into the 20s. I got whole binders full of stuff like that. Old patches, decals, you name it. Anything that will fit in a binder, I'll buy it. I collect any old stadiums on postcards, team issue stuff. But I'll go after some, like I bought some of the Topps 2020 Jackie Robinson. I like the history of baseball, so I'll dip into other stuff here and there. So mostly Red Sox, though. I won't pass them off. I don't need doubles like Bo. I don't need them 5 of each card, 20 of each card. I have more than one of a few guys. I mean, but if you're PC and Ted Williams, you don't need more than one because you can't afford more than one. So,
Right.
Everybody asked me for a want list, and I don't even have one. But I could probably tell you all the cards I need to complete my sets back to 1904 because there's really not that many of them left. So I'm going to move on to the Boston Braves next. So
Cool.
Herman, you don't collect Boston Braves, do you? Just Atlanta.
You're
Atlanta
muted,
Braves.
Herman.
I mean, no Boston Braves.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I go back 66 as far as I'm going back right now.
You don't do Milwaukee or Boston. So yeah.
Now, if for whatever reason, if I complete 66 to current, then I'll start drifting back. But I kind of just set it. I cut it off at 66 for now.
Yeah, I
Good-
got my
Good
stock
luck with
sets
that
at
Chichi
51.
Olivo.
What's
I
that?
got my Sox at 51, and I did all the O-Pee-Chee Red Sox back to 65, and I'm probably 95% done with the Venezuelan Red Sox. I got about 5 more to go. So
Nice.
I'm pretty close. Then I'll retire. That's about it.
Let's see. So this is Bo's PC here. Yeah. Now, and you don't just do cards either, though. You do like memorabilia because you've got some pins that you've been posting lately.
Who, me? Oh,
Yeah.
I have probably 300 baseball pins, mostly Red Sox. Some of them
Right.
are one of a kind, old cigarette ones from the 1910, 1920.
I was gonna say, like, some of that stuff that you've been posting, I've never seen any like for any team or anything, but to actually find it for your PC is pretty awesome.
It's some of the stuff's tough. I get a couple guys that deal. I mean, there hasn't been card shows here in a while, but I have a few guys who set up at shows that take in a lot of stuff, and they'll give me a call before they put it out. So, or an email or something. Even my card shop. If my card shop, there's one of them. If he takes something in, he doesn't put it out. He'll give me a call, or he'll hold it until I come in. So I got a little leeway there.
That's
I'm trying
pretty
to
good.
find the oddball stuff. Yeah.
All right, well, Steph, you what's that?
I said the harder the stuff is to find, the more I like going looking for it.
Okay, yeah, yep. So, Steph, you joined in. What you want to share how you collect what you PC?
Sure. I so what I'd said was good luck on the Chichi Olivo. It's a infamous high series that's just for whatever reason in low stock. But it's an Atlanta Brave. But no, much like the name, I'm kind of a twin addict. I've kind of branched out a little bit to the other sports, mostly hockey, but I'll also do some state stuff. So if there's anything just non-sports centric, like some of the pre-war stuff that, especially tobacco era, that has like the state flags or the state flowers or whatnot. So my earliest is actually from 1893 or so. It's United States, Minnesota, and for my wife, Ohio, state flags. Kind of cool. But I'm much like Mark, finishing off the complete Twins run. So I've got all of Topps 254, the flagship anyway. I finished traded. Stadium Club I'm caught up to last year. Donruss is complete. Upper Deck is complete. Fleer, I'm missing a couple cards in like 97, 98 before they disappeared briefly and came back a couple years later. Let's see. A couple others. And much like Mark, I binder practically everything. So here's my binder wall. Starting at the bottom, you got some of the Oddball magazine, Beckett's, the weird stuff, my in-person autographs, and that's slowly moving up. You've got all of the major brands, some of the X-Twins being, like Morneau or Carew, or some of the guys who have my name. Again, that's mostly a hockey binder just because of it's a huge French name. Some of my Venezuelans are up there. And then it just slowly goes up. I do have a couple of oddball players. So, for instance, Walter Payton's son, the coach's son, was on my high school team. So, for that matter, Walter Payton's coach was my high school coach. But he actually got drafted by the Twins, so I collect all of his stuff. Wayne Nordhagen was born in my hometown, so I collect all of his stuff, and by extension, his nephew, Kevin Millar. I have some APBA stuff, some minor league. It expands from there. And then there's a couple others that are from my hometown but only had minor league cards that I've added. And the wife dabbles a bit into some non-sport stuff. So we've got a couple Nintendo sets, some Game of Thrones. I do a few sets a year. So Donruss or Topps, Chrome Update's one of my favorites. And then, of course, naturally, Diamond Kings. I'm kind of addicted to. So, got my ball wall along the side, and then binders separate from the other wall. And of course, everyone knows that I hit the Babe Ruth, so I won't brag about that. But I've kind of expanded that to do like the top 30 home run hitters of all time. So it's kind of looking at it like, well, if you go to the top, the 500 home run club, it goes to like number 27. So if you just round it off to 30, you're there. And with Miguel Cabrera passing Adrian Beltre, there's no longer a two-place tie for 28th. So, pretty for an easy selection.
Now, is it you or is it Angelo that collects kitten cards?
Both of us. We actually both have a binder. Ooh, where's the cat binder?
Is it up there?
Actually, yes, it is. It's right next to me here. So, got it. We got the entire Ginter complete set from 2014 or so. And then they did a Ferocious Felines, a Little Lions. It's a few cards from the pre-war era. For some reason, a polar bear. But then also some Ty Beanie Babies, a couple card cats that were featured in Topps Now, some Magic stuff. The ASPCA had a couple sets here and there. And
I haven't bindered it.
we'll have some more stuff to add to it eventually.
Yeah. So I'm kind of jealous of you and say George is trying to show something off here. Let's see what he's got here.
Well, I was just basically I'm gonna send you these at some point. Steph. So now the reason why I'm doing it, you can tell why, right?
Oh sure, the pink blotch on the top.
Yeah. So how do you do? I know that you collect different things like that. What do you do with them? How do you kind of classify those or whatever?
So I try not to get, unlike my Donruss variations, I try not to do super minor stuff like that.
Mhm.
But you know, if it has kind of a 3D effect, or if I think it's the bright blue one, dead center. If it's blatantly miscut, or if there's some printing errors, or here we go. Plug you in, turn you back on. Gonna focus me. Cool. So some minor stuff. So like on that, you can see the start of the next card.
Right.
Where that one gets wrapped towards the end. I mean, hey, that's Bobby Oliva. Allison, rather. Some of the 60s were a bit harder to find.
Right.
But also you got like the green tints. The earliest one that I think is cool, you have the start of the home run leaders there, I think.
Right.
But I have a blank back from 16.
Wow, nice.
Couple others. So slight miscut on the top there.
Right.
This killer was actually cut up from the frame.
That's awesome.
So I mean, nah. But then you have like 67 where it's clear that this was a bottom border or a top border card.
Right.
Same here where this one got cut across the top.
Mm-hmm.
Or this where it's going 35 degrees this way.
Right.
Or the other way. But also some print stuff.
Right.
That actually I matched to a twin at the bottom. Let's see. So the 70s are really weird when things got a bit wild.
Right.
So you got the starts of the next ones. 72. Just completely miscut.
72 is awful on miscut.
Oh, sure.
Right. So
that across the bottom. These four, sorry, Mark, it's a red sock, connect to each other.
Nice.
That's cool.
Nice. I remember opening a pack of 72 and pulling those out.
Or a vending box, if those were around in that day. No, they started sometime around then.
Back up.
Another border card. But no, it's, people don't want them, and for 50 cents, a quarter, a dime, some
right.
blank backs, I'll pick them up, sure.
Well, like I said, like these right here, this is what's funny about this. So these cards, I bought a lot, a 6-box blaster lot. A lot of 6 blasters is what I was opening, and I pulled like 3 or 4 of the Buxtons out of it, and these two had the magenta ink at the top, but faded. Like this one's more faded than this one, so it's clear that like these were. You can see how one has more than the other. It's clear that these were from the same lot, so you know that there aren't going to be like a lot of these out there like that, right?
Oh, sure. Where you have like the one that's more faded is probably when the printer was at like 20% ink, and the one after it has a little bit less of a smudge was at 10%, 30%, however printing works.
Yeah. So I just thought those were cool. I pulled them out to the side. I'll send them to you at some point.
So Steph, do you basically just any miscut stuff you're interested in?
Yeah, miscut, misprint, so some of the oddball stuff.
What about like the 91 tops? I know that they have their variations and printing issues and errors and all that, but there was a lot of miscuts in 91 too.
I haven't noticed too many miscuts. I mean, I probably
I got
between the
I got
two
a
or three
stack of them.
card
I'll
stores
send.
here. I mean, it could be regional too. I've gone probably through 40 or 50,000 91 tops, which I mean is only 5% of the run.
Not even.
Not even. But no, I actually haven't seen too many misprints. I know that there's a ton of print sheet stuff that's an error, and as far as Glowbacks, sorry. I've got the complete twin set run, and despite my dad interest.
You see that?
Oh yeah, Jimmy Abbott.
I mean, they're like horribly miscut.
Wow. You might have got the one box that was all screwy.
Right.
Let's see. Let's say.
I want some of those. I want some of those 2021 Heritage, like with the wrong backs.
Oh, Trout Goldschmidt,
like,
sure.
Yeah, like I want some of those that have like Cardinals, so like the Trout Goldschmidt back or the Goldschmidt with the Trout back or whatever back he got, things like that. People are bitching about them, but I actually think it's kind of cool because the card looks perfect, other than the fact that they just mismatched the fronts and backs.
Right, and they probably orientated the back sheet wrong, or however it is that they worked it out. Whether it's intentional or not is another story, because tops. But
right,
anything that sparks some interest. But no. Despite my dad actually being in Desert Shield and Desert Storm, he actually didn't get any of the packs or the boxes. So I don't know what their distribution method is, or whether the infamous stories of everything being backdoored to 100 or so troops or what is true or not. But yeah, I'd love for him to have actually got a box.
Right, of course. Yeah.
But no, my favorite set that I'm currently working on, the vintage set, 1914 B18s. They're little cloth blankets.
Right.
The feel felt like for the Senators, there's only 8, and because why not? There's actually 2 variations for each team. You got the brown bases and the green bases. Some have like purple and blue or whatever colors. That's my pride and joy, Walter Johnson. But it's not too hard a set to finish off. I think each team only has like 6 or 8 players, and yeah, it's a quick run through.
We got Bo's armpit. It's because Herman changed the view, and it's like now we just have Bo's armpit. We don't even have it anymore.
Now, if we're having problems with Mark, there we go.
There's Mark.
Yeah,
there we
go. Hey, Steph, does this card look familiar?
That is. Oh boy.
You said it to me the other day.
60s-ish. Tops, obviously.
It's the 1963 fun cards. Jackie Jensen's wife.
The one I sent you the other night.
You sent me the pic. I went online and bought it. That's where I'm at with my collecting. I can't buy any more Jackie Jensen cards, so I buy cards of his wife.
Of course.
She was an Olympic diver.
And Pokemon, right?
That was only that one day.
Olympic
only one day.
That was Steph's idea that I did that.
Because I was curious, it said he got married to Olympic diver, whatever her name is, such and such. So I looked it up, and unfortunately, I found her eulogy. But it mentioned that she was a former casino dealer turned bus driver for the school, she got remarried to someone else. It's a really interesting life. And that it mentioned her specifically, and that it showed her prominently on a couple cards. It mentioned her. It's like, hey, Mark, you need these now too, right?
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. Before we do, I would like to say that I'm kind of jealous of Steph and Mark. I'm sorry, Matt. Mark. The fact that y'all are that close to finishing your team runs is awesome. I'm struggling just doing the Topps flagship back to 66. I think I've pretty much dried up everything on trading card database. I've traded for everything that I can on there, and
sure.
and reached out, started reaching out on Twitter, but a lot of that's been a bust where everybody wants to help, but then they never come through. So,
right.
Well, you have to put together a list.
Maybe
we can help out.
I'll dig through my.
I mean, I've put one out there, and I've got several people that's looked, but I hadn't heard back. So we'll see how that comes out. So we'll move on. And this one, I think this one kind of came up from what I shared Monday with my experience at a card shop, but just kind of we'll go around this. We won't make this any kind of formal nothing. We'll just kind of discuss it. But what do y'all think makes a good LCS as far as the service they offer or products they carry or anything like that? I know I definitely know the one I was in last week is not considered a good LCS.
Hey, Bo.
Well, I would
have
say.
a couple.
Go ahead, Mark.
I said I get a couple within 15 minutes of me, and one's a younger guy, probably in his 30s. The store's a mess, but he has everything, and he knows where stuff is. He points it out. He has a little table for you, and he'll strike up a conversation, drop of a hat. The other one's run by an older guy. He's close to 70. And I'll go in there and I'll bring the guy a coffee and just hang out. I don't even have to buy anything, just hang out with the guy. And
right.
He gives stuff away to kids when they walk through the door. If you're in there, father's in there with a kid, he'll tell him to pick something out of the case. He'll give him a grab bag. He's a good guy. He's been doing it. He's 30 years, so he's doing something right.
Right.
And all the other guys that go in there, everybody kind of hangs out, spends 20 minutes, and it's just like hanging out like now, except we're at the shop.
Yep. Now you said the younger guy, his shop was kind of just in a mess, and
it's a
but
mess.
The older guy
it's pretty organized. He doesn't have a lot of new products, a lot of vintage stuff, and he flips a lot of. You can buy bats, balls, jerseys.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. What is it? What does he carry? Yeah.
I mean, he's had seats from Fenway Park in there. He's had old backboard signed by Red Auerbach. He has all. You don't know what you're going to find, but
right.
And it's a small store, but he's accommodating. He's a good guy.
That sounds a lot.
Gives me a call every time he takes a Red Sox thing. So
yeah, that sounds a lot like the second place I went into last week that I actually bought some stuff from Baseball 17 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You walk in and it's like you look at this place. It looks like some of it almost looks like somebody's garage that collected years ago and hadn't touched their stuff in a while. Stuff everywhere. I mean, there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, just here and there. But he knew where everything was at. He had no new wax. Everything was pretty much from the, let's say junk wax era, 93, 94 back. But I found several 72s that I needed. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Which was great because I very seldom am able to find them except for like on eBay and then pay $4 shipping for a card, whatever. But And then the other shop that I went to was, completely organized. He had all, modern stuff back to a few, vintage stuff. But I wouldn't have bought anything there if it was half price. I'm sorry. I just don't think I would have.
Right.
And like I said, I shared that Monday night. Why not? But it's, the organization of the shop to me is not that important as long as you have a personality and you're willing to conversate with whoever's in the store and not just completely ignore them for a buddy or whoever's in there at the time. I mean, I understand if you walk in a shop and they have a customer with them and they spend what time they need to with them and then move on to you. But yeah.
Well, so and
I mean,
to follow up on that, I can't agree more. Me and Angela have been to probably 20 or so shops across the country. Been to some completely disorganized. We've been to some that are completely new and pristine in museums. We've been to Jimmy's shop, which was amazing with the original Kentucky floorboards in the store. But I think it comes down to the actual seller. If you're completely disorganized, but you know where everything is, and you can tell me, hey, the singles are in there and they're sorted by year, and yes, there's a ton of them, but you're free to go through them, or the exact opposite. You have everything in pristine condition. You know exactly where. Don't know where everything is, or they're just in piles everywhere. But it makes a difference on the shop vendor, because we've had great vendors who know their stuff, and we've had guys that are just completely disinterested in you that, unfortunately lose out on a lot of sales because they just too busy tending to someone else or their longtime friends that they only do business with. Like, well, but how do you get to that status?
Right.
I mean, there's a particular shop that was in this area that one of the guys, said, hey, so I see you have a ton of boxes sorted by year. What all do you have? It's just a basic, hey, is this all Tops? Is this all Stadium Club? What you got? Oh, there's everything. And then he went back to talking to his friend. But the stuff.
Right.
Okay. Fuck you.
Thank you. Bro, what he just said is exactly how I felt last week in that one shop that I was talking about. That's exactly how I felt. It's like,
and it's just like any other business. Customer service is the one thing that's going to keep you going back or turn you off. You can have all the product in the world. If you don't have good customer service, then you're screwing yourself out of who knows how many sales. Some people, I think, just don't care, especially in the card business. I've been to like the DFW area a few times, and probably 15 years ago went down there. My wife had a conference down there. I went and visited one of the card shops. Guy and his wife ran it. I went back 3 times that weekend and probably stayed a total of 8 hours just talking to them and buying quite a bit. Go back into that same store, new ownership 2 years ago, 2 years ago, and completely different. Nobody cared. Nobody said hello. If you ask a question, it was mainly, that's over there. And that was it. So,
just showed no interest.
I won't ever head back to that store when I'm down there. But, in Kansas City, we have the organized, we have the unorganized. What I have found out is most of the owners are at least willing to talk with you and show you where stuff is. And like many of you said, if you're organized and know where stuff is and you have a lot and you're knowledgeable about it, you know, I can care less what it looks like.
Exactly. Yep.
But if you don't know where stuff is, you don't know what you have, you don't care if I'm in there or not, I won't go back. And that would, I mean, it's just not card shop, it's any store. So.
Well, and I'm pretty sure the shop that you're talking about has sale of ownership, which unfortunately, yeah, that can change things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of take this to a different slant, because customer service to me is, for me, when I go into a card shop, like I'm just kind of like I'm looking for a deal on, you know, singles that I can flip if it's out of a quarter box or a dollar box, or I'm looking for Cubs, and usually it's kind of, they go hand in hand, where I'm going to pull a stack of Cubs cards and I hope that I can sell the other random stuff at a profit to pay what I just bought in Cubs cards. And if the shop itself has great deals, I really don't care what the employees, like, I appreciate if they reach out and ask me, you know, if they, you know, have good customer service, if they reach out, but it's not like, I don't really care. I will care more if their prices are high and they have crappy customer service. Then I'm going to be like, your store sucks, I'm never coming back. But if they have prices and I can pull a bunch of cards for my PC, or, you know, I can flip a quarter card for $5, I'll keep going back. Even if they ignore me and don't tell me or anything. And in the two shops that I frequent most, the owners aren't outgoing guys. Like, they're not like really, and they're really unorganized. It looks like what you see behind me, which I love. So I can dig through, and in the one shop, you know, I can, and he's got a table and a chair set up, and you just dig through boxes, and if he doesn't say anything to me, I don't care, because I'm in heaven. I'm digging through bargain boxes and pulling out some great stuff. So to me, like, I appreciate it when they reach out and ask me, you know, if I'm looking for anything, or, you know, just friendly conversation. But in the end, it's, you know, do they have what I'm looking for at the right price? That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Right.
Well, sure, and there's nothing worse than getting big poked on 1999 Pacific, because
Right.
a dime or a nickel card. We don't need to go to back in and price it for $1 each. Come on.
Right.
It's been on the shelf since 1999. There might be a reason for that.
So
Hey, Steph, something's up with your volume. I don't
yeah,
know.
Steph sounds like he's in the toilet or something. He's swimming down there.
Yeah.
He's underwater. But no, like, I'm sort of like Bo in that aspect. Like, I want the people to be friendly, but if they don't I want them to be friendly. I don't necessarily care if they kind of cater to me. I just want them to be friendly. That's all. So if I walk in and they say, "Oh, hi, how's it going?" Take a look around. I'm cool with that. I don't need them to be like, "Oh, what are you looking for? What do you need?" I actually, from a shopping standpoint, I hate when people do that. I want to go in and look at stuff and kind of, because I have in my mind what I'm looking for, and I don't want to be distracted by, can I get you this? Can I offer you that? I'm just like, leave me alone. I'm just here to look, and if I want something, then I'll get it. So that's kind of the way I am when it comes to shopping. But here's the thing. So I want them to be friendly. I don't want them to be overly enthusiastic that I came in. My biggest thing is I want them to have a good thing of singles, like boxes that you can dig through. If you don't have boxes, then fuck your shop. I'm sorry.
No, that's true. I agree.
If you're just selling boxes of unopened product, fuck that. I mean, there's no point in it, right? And then one more thing that does get to me, it annoys me, is if I am in a shop, and I've been in some here in Korea, where I'm digging through. They have their boxes. They have like dollar boxes and stuff, and I'm digging through, and I pull out a stack of cards, and I pulled them out of the dollar box, so they're like $1 each. And I walk over, and I'm like, okay, I got like 10 cards, and I'm like, so $10. And immediately, dude pulls out the phone and starts going to eBay, looking up each one, and I'm just like, bro, come on. It's like, and they were Cardinals, right? They were Cardinals, so they were stuff that was for my collection. Like, it wasn't to be sold or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like I had been in this shop several times, okay? And those cards like had been in there for well over 7 or 8 months in that box. It's like, I guarantee you, he could have walked over there and taken a look through that box at any time over the 8-month period between the first time I went and the second time. And if something went up in value, pulled it out and put it somewhere else, right? Like, it's on them to do that. Not like when I walk up with a stack of dollar cards, and them to just start pricing them out at that point. Like, oh, well, this one here is going for $3 now. It was $1 when I put it in there. Now it's $3. And it's like, no, fuck off. Sorry, kid.
And that's your job to reprice it before I get it in my hands.
But going back to customer service, it's not necessarily somebody that you tell stories to. It's how helpful you are. The last time I went to that store in Dallas, I stood at the counter for 3 minutes,
Right.
3-4 minutes, waiting to ask a question, and the guy was more interested in talking to his buddy. Right. I mean, even though that probably everything that I probably could want, I went away with nothing.
Right. What does that sound like, Ken?
You still do need to have a good variety of stuff, and there's one shop in Kansas City that's been there forever. It's unorganized, but the guy has a good selection of, if I'm a set collector, so if I go in and say, hey, I want to look at your 74s, there's the box. He just lets you go back, grab the box, and go through it, and doesn't bother you while you're doing it. That's great.
Right.
Doesn't have have quarter boxes, doesn't have any dollar boxes. That's kind of a turnoff. Then there are some others that have a bunch of that stuff, but then they don't have any stuff to go through. I mean, they may have 1 or 2 boxes to flip through, but the rest of it is brand new stuff, or they specialize in the graded card market, and that's all they do. So, there's a balance between all that stuff, but some guys have it, some guys don't.
So I will
to your point though, Matt. Turn me loose with your box and let me go through it. But when I have a stack of cards sitting there and I'm obviously looking around, waiting and trying to get a price or kind of make a deal or whatever you want to call it. But you ignore me because you're over here in the corner chit-chatting with a buddy because you didn't get everything you wanted at Target. That's completely different.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, I think kind of what you're saying there. Yeah. Customer service for me is like, greet me, be nice. If I have a question, acknowledge me. Like that's all I need. Like,
let me know that if I have a question, I can come to you and you'll acknowledge my question and not ignore me.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. What you said, George, is if I walk in Home Depot looking for a washer or a screw, I don't need 5 employees coming to me asking if they can help me. But when I walk into a car shop, half of the reason why I'm there is because I want to conversate about cards, the hobby.
Yeah.
On top of looking for what I'm looking for or what you have. But yeah, I mean, I'm the same way when it comes to, Walmart or Home Depot. I don't need an employee in my ear asking me if they can help me, because I know where everything's at in Walmart.
Right.
But
You
see,
know,
and here's the good point, though. They don't know that. Only you know that. And so
Well, yeah.
I learned a lot about myself as a consumer, as a customer, when I was shopping for a bike. And about a month ago, or 2 months ago, I went in looking for a bike. I was not ready to buy. And I found it annoying when people came up to me and asked for my help, because I just wanted to go shop on my own,
Right.
without any outside influence, interference. However, I went back a few weeks ago. I was in the market to buy. They were busy because it's now springtime, and nobody helped me. And I was upset that nobody came to help me. But 3 months ago, when people helped me, I was upset. And
Right.
only I knew what I
You're right.
wanted. Like,
You're
they
right.
had no idea that, okay, if I ask this guy a question, he's going to be the customer's going to be annoyed. With the same exact store 3 months later, shopping for the same exact product, now I want somebody to help. And so I learned a lot from that experience, from those two, because I walked out the door and drove home, and I would have bought. If somebody would have helped me that day, I probably would have bought something. And I drove home and I thought about it, and it was kind of like that inner realization that, oh crap, how were they to know? It's like, because 3 months ago I was annoyed for the exact opposite, and now I'm annoyed that nobody helped me. So it's tough. It's finding that balance.
I know I keep going back to this one experience, but again, it's not like, with all y'all have at least one card shop within 30 minutes.
Yeah, I do.
Well, I was gonna say with exception of maybe George and Dan, but I'm like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from my closest one, and I've never even been in it. But to me, it was I over anticipating what I should have expected, or and like I said, the lack of help as far as what I was looking for wasn't as big a deal as what they were bitching about Target. I guess that was my biggest turnoff. I guess it just, like I said, I don't have that much experience in a card shop for now versus back in the 90s. And back in the 90s, we had 3 here, and I owned one of them. So
yeah, I think something that I will say about card shops in Korea, one of my big draws to card shops in Korea when I go is I love to go to the card shops where it's a card shop, but they're also breakers. And the reason why is because often if it's a card shop and they are breakers as well, they just have a huge ass box over beside the counter that is just piled with just commons just thrown in there.
Right.
That are going to be thrown out in the trash. But you're totally free to just go in and just dig through that box and pull out anything you want. And it's free because it's so I like that in the shops here, because I'll go in, like I've gone into a couple, like one of the shops here. I used to go in there sometimes and I would walk in, I would make a quick scan of what products they had. They had nothing that I wanted or at the price that I wanted. Then I just go over there and sit down at this trash box, so to speak, and I just pulled out all of the Cardinals, like all that kind of stuff, and I just made a big stack, and I would go. But they didn't care. They didn't care because that was one of the things that they would say. They'd say, "Oh, well, those right there are free. Just take whatever you want. Hell, take the whole box if you want, really." And it's like, well, no, I'm just gonna, dig through and see what I need. Or I also did things like when I would build sets. I would dig through and see if there were anything that I needed for the set or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, and the reason why they did that, the reason why they weren't for sale is because a lot of those shops, people would come in, they'd buy a box of Heritage or whatever, right? They sit down at the table, they open it up, they take out all the hits or whatever they're looking for, and the rest of that stack just goes right over into that box beside the counter, and they walk out.
Right.
So, and so those were just free, so I'd dig through them and find stuff that I wanted. And I'd usually always walk out with, say, a stack of 30.
You should next time just pick up the box and walk out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Build yourself
with that being said, though, for the last since I've been back in the hobby, the last 3-4 years, the way I've built my Topps flagship set was through another breaker that I reached out to, and he pretty much sells me a medium flat rate shipping box full of cards that he's opened, base cards,
right,
for the price of shipping, plus $10.
Right.
And I pulled the majority of what I needed out of those sets or out of those boxes, except for maybe 8-9 cards.
Right.
Yep. So, that's, like I said, that's a good way to, if you want to build a set cheaper and not want to open boxes, that's a good way to do it.
Right. Speaking of that, when you open yours, let me know, because these are all, because I took out what I wanted. It's funny what I was just talking about. I took out what I wanted out of that box, and then that's because I'm not building the set.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just, yeah.
And to be honest, I do feel like that what I'm going to be short or what I'm going to need is probably going to be all SPs.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
So, and it's not going to be easy, but I'll just have to power through it.
Right. Well, like I said, just let me know, because these right here, because these are all, I just go through, I opened the box, I took out my Cardinals, I took out the rookies, those types of things. And then everything else, it's just, those are the Mariners that were in there. I had one Blue Jay in that box, only one. There's my Diamondbacks that were in there, stuff like that. I just organized them, and so there. And the reason why I bought the box was more or less just because I was like, it's I like the design. I was contemplating building the set originally, but then I opened it, and like I said, I ended up with a hobby box, one box, and the prices are outrageous, right? One box, if you get one Blue Jay out of the entire box, it's going to cost a lot of money to build this set by opening.
Yeah. Well, and that's the reason why I went with. And by the way, for those of you who saw me bitching on Twitter, I finally got them.
Right.
But that's the reason why I went with the retail box, because they were $40 cheaper.
Right.
A box.
Right.
I mean, you don't have as many for the parallels or the inserts or autographs or whatever, but if you're building the set, that don't matter. You don't care about that. So
right.
That's the reason why I went with that. But then I didn't realize they was going to drag her feet and push it back a month and a half.
Right.
And now everybody's forgotten about Heritage, and here I am just now fixing to open it and try to start trading to finish the set. So
and yeah, that's another thing that's funny too, that you bring that up. It's been out for so long now that people aren't even trading anymore, and people they don't even know what they have anymore because they're on to the next product. If you get in it when it's hot and everybody's opening it, they're like, "Oh, I got that card. I got that card. I got that card." But when you get to that future point out there where it's old news, You're like, hey guys, I opened Heritage. I need these cards. Oh, I've got some somewhere. And that's what you get. I got some somewhere. I'll let you know. And then like 3 months later, they still haven't ever gotten back to you. So, I mean, I'm not saying that like that they owe you, like, but at the same time, it's like, and I understand. I'm the same way because like when I open something, like, once it gets out and I'm opening something else, I'm like, I might have that, but I don't really remember. And then sometimes I've got it stuck away in a box, and it's a pain in the ass to get to that box and get it out and find it. So I'm just like, I'll just leave it. I'm not. I know dude is looking for this card, and I know I've got it in a box over there, but I'm not gonna go look for it. Nah, fuck that. It's one card.
Right.
Like, and I do that, and I think a lot of people do.
All right. So, all right, Ken, you got all you gotta do is just jump in here, man. Anytime you want to.
Well, no, I just when somebody's talk, we got so many people that people talk. So y'all did, in my opinion, y'all did a great job. I think you hit on everything. The only couple of other things I wanted to say was, so one of them that I might have missed because I ate dinner when I was when I closed it off was what George said about people that break, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be a breakers. When we talked Monday about card shops, I mentioned the Indie Card Exchange, and I will tweet about them from time to time, and that's a great shop. And what people would do was exactly what you said. They would pull out their hits, and then he'd go through, and then they'd be like, "Do you want these? Yeah, go put them in that box over there." Now they weren't giving them away, but they charged 10 cents a card. Obviously, when you buy 300 of them, you're getting a better deal, so on and so forth. But I mean, that's free money for them, and I don't understand how every card shop doesn't do that. And I pulled so many good cards out of there. I pulled a Jonathan Taves card numbered out of 5 that somebody didn't realize was in there. I sold the damn thing on eBay for over $100. I'm like, it's my team, but this is numbered out of 5. I should be able to get $50. Well, no, I got more than 100 out of it.
Right.
And going back to Indie Card Exchange, well, let's go kind of talk about. There's 2 different kinds of customer service, and y'all, definitely hit on the, just the saying, hey, when somebody comes in, not ignoring customers. And that's obvious. And as I said on Monday, in Herman's example, you're in freaking Myrtle Beach. You're getting a lot of random people coming in. Right. Now, the Bo's closest shop, Mark's closest shop, those are not, you're not getting a lot of random traffic. It's the regular people over and over. And one thing that, the guys at the Indie Card Exchange, they knew my name. It was like Cheers. They knew everybody's name when they walked in. Now, I spent more money on cards back then than I do now, but not one of these shop owners around here knows my name, even though I've paid with debit card.
Right.
Now, the closest one where I buy supplies, Play Ball, the owner's wife, she is the sweetest lady in the world, and she knows who I am. She always says hello when I come in. I mean, she's just the sweetest. She doesn't know my name, but she knows who I am because, for a while I was going on a weekly basis to buy supplies because they have them rationed.
Right.
So I was going in weekly. Now I haven't been in there for probably a month and a half. But again, going back to Indie Card Exchange, there were multiple times I went in and Andy, the owner, would be like, hey, I got the stack of Blackhawks for you. Somebody left some stuff. Here you go. I went in one time, and when I started on my 55 All-American set, they knew that I liked those cards. Somebody walked in with a complete freaking binder of them. They had them sitting back, waiting on me to come in and said, hey, I think you're going to like this. And I bought, probably, 40% of my set and started right there. And that's things that you don't see at a lot of these other card shops. I want it all. I want good customer service. I want these boxes that I can dig through. And I get that some of these cards are small, or some of these shops are small, but even SMP, which is about the smallest card shop in this area, they've got boxes of commons just along the wall underneath their shelves holding boxes. They're not actively promoting them, but I went through last year, or no, not last year, 2019, after Bowman Draft came out, because that was when Alec Manoah was picked. I went through and grabbed probably 100 to 150 cards, and he sold them to me for like $20.
Right.
Good deal for me. He's not going to go through them. I mean, I picked up a short print JJ Bleday that was like a $25 card at that time.
Right.
It may have gone down. But, yeah, I want all of it. And in some cases, you can't do it all. But as it seems like everyone said, you've got, a lot of these shops only seem to appeal or care about that high-end collector.
Right.
And so, yeah, and going back to the customer service, there's two kinds. And like I said, with Herman's situation, that was garbage. But, when I walked into Indy Card Exchange, they may be busy, but Andy or Jake looked up and said, "Hey, Ken." They didn't start, "What are you looking for?" They just said, "Hey, Ken." They acknowledged I was there. That was good. I let them go on their way. If I was in a hurry, I was in a hurry. But 90% of the time I wasn't. And I hung out in there for an hour or 2 hours. And they made that environment, and that they not provided. They encouraged that environment, and it was a small shop at the time. Now they're in a new location that appears to be probably 8 times the size. So I can only imagine what they do, and they encourage people to stay in there. Just random chairs at tables and all that kind of stuff. So, but I think you guys, everybody, you guys hit on it. I think it's pretty much a consensus. It comes down to the type of collector you are. And going back to Indy Card Exchange, it was 2014, and Andy is still doing everything he can to get 2012 football in because of Andrew Luck. Well, he's having to buy those boxes at secondary prices, so he's having to pass those on, and he's just, he's explaining to customers why the box is so damn expensive. But he was doing that, and he was taking that own chance because at a certain point, if Andrew Luck gets hurt or retires early, he's going to take a big old hit on that. But he provided that because that's what his customers wanted. And I can just sit here and talk all day about those guys, but it is what it is. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, and real quick, go back
and that's what I was gonna tag into.
Go ahead.
And really, that's what I was going to tag in at the very end, between what Ken and what Mark had initially briefly touched on, was get to know your customers. If you know that, you don't even have to know names. Big, tall guy, short, small guy. He collects this. He collects that. Guy with the short wife collects twins.
Fat guy wearing a dog mask.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The goofy looking guy with the Braves hat and glasses. Yeah, that's him. But just talking about the boxes with the dime cards, 10-cent cards. Back in like 90, 91, that was like, you put a box of commons out and people would go through them things and you put them to, 10 cent a piece or 15 for $1. They sit there all day long and pick out cards.
Right.
Back then, the dime card then, it was like the quarter box now.
Right. Yeah. And for me personally, I'm not gonna lie, like I said, like these stacks of cards and stuff like that, I wish that I had a way to just, because I pulled out my Cardinals, I pulled out my rookies, I pulled out like those types of things. The rest of it I'm not worried about. I wish that I had a good way to just be like, a nickel a piece or something like that. Just stick a box in a corner and just be like, a nickel a piece, take 20 for $1. I don't care. Just get them out of here. Like that kind of thing, which is essentially what I do. I just put them in a box, and when it gets full, it's actually, I have one sitting beside my desk. So,
and that's yeah.
It's a size 1. Like this is the smallest box they have in Korea. When it gets full, and this one is basically full, I just post it on the forum, and I'm like, $5, because that's how much the shipping of it costs. It's yours. And I just send it.
Yeah. And that's what the order that I just got from Steel City. Yeah, I wanted my heritage boxes, but the biggest thing I wanted, and I've told Bo this, was I wanted the 400 count boxes because that's how I've been getting rid of a lot of my bulk stuff. Is
Right.
like my 2021 stuff. I've got my 2 sets pulled. I've got one of them completed. I'm lacking, I think, 5 cards in the other one, which I think somebody's told me they're gonna send me, which is great. But after that, I started pulling one of everything I had and put them in like 400 count boxes and sell them on eBay for, as long as I cover the shipping, the price of the box, and if I make $1 or $2, great, whatever.
Right.
And I've been doing that all the way back to 2017 just to get rid of bulk stuff.
Right.
If I make 99 cents, whatever, and I've gotten rid of 400 cards,
Right. And that's the way I am. Like I put them in those boxes. Once it gets full, I'll post it and say like, "Hey, got this box, $5 shipping. It's yours."
Right. All right. Well, we have come to the highlight of the night. What everybody has been wanting to hear about. Bo had a show.
The Bo Show.
And we all want to know, how did it go? I'm a poet and didn't know it.
It was awesome. It was a great show. So I've been thinking about promoting a show here for a few years, and in southern Wisconsin, I'm in Madison. We have a really large collector's presence, and actually Wisconsin is great for Sport Lots is actually based here in Wisconsin in Green Bay. Sports Collectors Digest and Daily, they're based out of Wisconsin. Larry Fritsch Sports Cards, one of the first big card shops in history, is in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. So we've got a really great collectors area here, and in Madison we don't have a really good card show presence. We have one monthly show that's in a really small room, and I'm a bargain box digger, and I like to sit down and spend 3 hours digging through those bargain boxes. And you can't do that at the show that we previously had, and still have, because it's in a small room. There's no room to sit. Basically, single file through the room. Not ideal during COVID. And it's on a Sunday. It's only 10 to 2. I'm kind of lazy on Sundays. I sleep in. I'm slow. By the time I'm like ready to do anything, it's noon. So I wanted to have something that was on a Saturday. I wanted to have longer hours, and I wanted to have more space because as a buyer, I'm wanting to sit down digging through boxes. So we found a venue of a co-promoter, Johnny Breaks on Twitter. So we put this together, over the last month. I was nervous, didn't know how it would go. It's the first show, so obviously there's always those first show jitters. And coming out of it, I take notes on, okay, what do we need to do next time? And really, it's minimal. Like everything, I mean, it was just about as well. It played out as well as I would have liked. In the things that I would make changes to next month are very minimal, like bringing extra change for the registration table and for my own. I want to promote my own like website. I didn't do any promotion for my website, which is kind of unlike me. So I'll do that differently next time around. But we had really good presence from 9 to 11. We went 9 to 4. 9 to 11 was really packed. But then it really died after noon. So I think we're gonna cut it short a little bit next month. Maybe cut it back to like ending at 3 instead of 4. So So yeah, so that video was taken in the mid morning. So yeah, we had a good turnout. We had some great vendors. We had a really great variety. I had strictly quarter boxes. I sold almost 800 cards, 25-cent cards, and I only had 4 boxes. And I'm actually, oh shoot, I was gonna take that and put a price on it and I'll do that next month. The George Bowman, I left it. It's still on my table.
Do you need a stack of these to put in your quarter box? Like, dude, just stick them in there.
I should.
Stick them in there and see what happens.
So if that's a quarter box card, what is this?
Right.
Oh, penny. In the gold penny. Come on, Dan.
That's a gold auto. That should be one of one. eBay one of one.
So actually I want to kind of piggyback our previous topic on card shops and greeting customers. I'll get to that in a second, but we had great turnout with a variety of vendors. So I had one guy who basically tours the country doing shows. When he called me, he saw the ad on Beckett, and he, when we were just chatting, I said, what's some of the stuff I don't do dollar boxes. I'm higher end, and I mean higher end was kind of an understatement. He had we should have had the blue lights above his table because it was fire. He had some bangers. He had Jordan rookies, PSA 7.5. He had a bunch of Zion pristine 10s. I mean, slabs on slabs, and here's the thing, though,
that's kind of show Ken likes a lot of that high end stuff.
But here's the thing, though. Y'all had what, 20 tables?
We had 23.
23. Okay. But in a show like that, though, how much of that stuff did he actually sell?
He actually did. He did okay. Now, he didn't do as well as he would do at a big, like at a Dallas or a Chantilly, but he did surprisingly well. Because his table was set up right in mine. So I was, based on what he had, that was my curiosity was, crap, he's probably going to have a lot of window shoppers and not make much. He did really well. I mean, he didn't make 20 grand, but he made a hell of a lot more than my quarter boxes did. Let's just say.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it only took one sale.
Was he local to you?
All right,
was he local to you, or did he travel? Oh, he traveled.
He's from Florida.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So you were drawing from Florida.
Your first show. So he did. So here's the thing. So he travels to shows, and he basically goes on Beckett and finds shows and tries to match up weekends. He was in Indiana last weekend and then went to, I think, Tennessee this week. And so he reached out. He's doing a show near Milwaukee tomorrow. So he was able to do my show today, and he's going to go to the Milwaukee area tomorrow. So, and that's what he does. He kind of hops from here to there. So, he said he'd like to come back, but if it works out based on his logistics, we won't know. Right. He's a veteran, and tours the country. So I had another guy who used to do that 30 years ago. This is his first show in 30 years. He used to set up at big shows, the National, San Francisco. He sold stuff to Mr. Mint, Al Rosen, and he had strictly vintage sports memorabilia, like really cool stuff. He didn't have any Cubs stuff. That's the first thing I asked. It was a lot of Milwaukee stuff. He had like a set of, and I wanted to buy it just because it was cool. He had like a bunch of 1975 All-Star Game. He had a ticket stub from the 75 All-Star Game baseball, a program, and I think it was a can, like a pop can, and just a bunch of random memorabilia from the 75 All-Star game. I just thought was really cool, but it's like, okay, I can buy Cubs stuff with that money and not buy from him. We had a kid with so, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to follow it up with a text that I just got. So we had one table, which was mostly retail, a lot of Pokemon, Heritage blasters, and he had it well priced. It wasn't like super high. I think he was selling blasters for like $25. He was selling the mega boxes for like 50. A friend of mine drove up from Chicago, and he hasn't been able to find Heritage. And he's like, I'm going to buy this mega box. He just texted me. He pulled a Hank Aaron Auto red ink from his Heritage mega box that he bought from the show today, numbered to 72.
So, all right. So those boxes, I have seen, like, I think 3 people have pulled those red ink autos out of the mega boxes on
Really?
Heritage. 3.
Wow.
So I don't think they put them in the hobby boxes. I think they put them in the mega boxes.
I've
Okay.
seen a lot more autos pulled out of retail than I have.
Yeah. They're filling it up.
Yeah, it seems the red ones in particular are retail are friendly.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So so I want to piggyback. So we had great attendance, and I want to piggyback on the whole customer service thing. Kind of piggyback from the card shop talk. So with my table, it was just 25-cent cards, and I had a lot of people that were digging through the quarter boxes, and usually I have them big Shep, who about the cards, we'll plug them about the cards with Steph on Wednesday nights. So Shep has this amazing template for the colors of, yeah, there you go, nice, Steph's on it. An awesome template with the team names for the like the card dividers. So, and I printed those off. They're amazing. And I think aboutthecards.wordpress.com. Is that right, Steph? Okay.
Yep, I'm getting the link.
Okay.
So.
Aboutthecards.wordpress.com. So I think the link for those is there. So I the last show I did, I used those dividers. People really liked it. And I didn't have the time because I was throwing stuff together. But a lot of people spend more time digging through randomized. I had people walk away because it wasn't sorted, because it was just, I had baseball in a box, I had football and basketball. So it was sorted by sport, but it was all completely random. So people that were looking for specific cards kind of walked on by. But for those bar hunt like myself, I'm just going to keep digging. As long as I have time, I'm going to keep digging. And I think that led to more sales. So I don't know my strategy for the next show. If I'm going to sort those cards, is it worth my time to sort 10,000 cards into teams? Ken's shaking his head no. I think I agree with you on that. I think I'm just going to leave them randomized and hope that people just keep digging and build a big pile. So what I did was, I didn't want to bother anybody because, everybody's different with, they don't want to be bombarded with questions. So I just said, hey, if there's anything specific you're looking for, our next show, and I wanted to promote the next show, May 22nd. Our next show is May 22nd. I'm going to bring, 4 more boxes next time. If there's anything specific you're looking for, I can add it to the list. And I've got a laundry list of, Turkey Red, blue parallels from Topps, Chipper Jones, Greg Maddux. Don't worry, Herman, you'll still get yours. So a laundry list that I can build that rapport, promote the next show, and promote next thing, and then you can get a good as a seller, you get a feel of, okay, does this person want to continue conversation, or are they just focused on buying cards? And you can tell that right away, just based on responses. Nope, I'm just looking. And then you just kind of, as a seller, you just kind of back off and let them do their thing. But then some engage and they want to have that experience. Like Herman's mentioning, like, I want to, talk cards and make this an experience. And you get that feel right off the bat, because then that conversation kind of opens up. So I had some great some customers were just content on digging through the boxes, while others, they really enjoyed the conversation. In fact, one guy that I was talking to, I hope he's watching, his name was John. And I told him Rich Klein was going to be on tonight. And I emailed him the link to this show. And unfortunately, Rich isn't with us tonight. But
I don't know what happened to Rich. I hadn't heard. Last I heard, he was going to be here, but the only one I heard from was Ben. He got his second COVID shot, and he was kind of under the weather. So, he's a big Rich Klein fan and listens to the Dr. Beckett podcast. And I'm like, we're doing a show tonight, and Rich is going to be on, and so I gave him the link. So hopefully he's watching, and so it was good stuff. So it was an awesome show. I had a great time. I bought some stuff. I only bought 2 cards, and they were slabs, which is unlike me. I'm not a big slab collector, but one dealer had. I've never seen this card before. I'm going to count it as a Cub card. It's from 2016. It's Topps. It's a Fan Fest. So it's Chris Bryant as, in college at the University of San Diego. It's a BVG 9.5. So I picked that up. And then this was from a customer. He had some slabs, and I'm like, I'm only a Cubs collector. And so he had this, and I'm like, I'm not a big living set fan. And he's like, I'll pull it to you for cheap, $20. Okay. I won't turn that down. So I bought that for $20. And then I showed this off earlier. Gary Scott autograph baseball for $10. Heck yeah. Mark was talking about some rare stuff. So Wrigley Wax is kind of one of the inspirations behind my blog, 1millioncubs.com. And I did a kind of an interview series, and Wrigley Wax has an amazing Cubs blog. He's a big time Cubs collector, has a great blog. One of his like all time number one, wants was a 1973 Jewel Foods Jim Hickman, and he couldn't find it for 4 or 5 years. I did learn that he found one last summer, but my buddy Scott had one, and so he brought it up. Scott is, and this is the 73 Jewel Foods Jim Hickman, which is pretty hard to find. Scott is actually he worked for the Cubs for 30 years. He worked for the Chicago Cubs. He was the director of baseball operations, was in scouting. So he shared some awesome stories. He also brought me some old style from Wrigley beer.
So yeah, and he brought a Chicago Cubs duffel bag that was teamish. It was the Cubs team issued duffel bags from like the 90s. So that will definitely get some good use for Cubs convention, spring training, and probably anything else that any overnight stay. So I did well. I got some cool Cubs stuff. Sold some quarter cards. We had a good turnout. And I think one of the things that I was happy with was I had one vendor that didn't make any sales, but he had a good time and he said he would come back. And so that meant a lot, because if you don't make it, I know if I set up a table, if I paid money for a table, didn't sell anything, I'd be like, I don't know if I should come back. But he's like, hey, the stuff brought people want, I'll change it up. I had a good time. I'll come back. So that was something that.
The thing is, like, and I don't. I mean, What would you charge them per table?
$50.
$50 a table. All right. But I mean, and there were plenty of people there.
Yeah, we had a good turnout.
I mean, it's not like you had 23 dealers there and 10 spectators.
Right.
They were so if he didn't sell anything, that's not on you.
Right.
It's like you said, he just didn't bring the right stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Or he didn't have good pricing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So Bo, I do have a question
I
for
will
you.
say it was a very niche. He had a very niche selection. So I think that
Yeah,
had a lot more to do
if
with
I
it.
set up with a bunch of IndyCar cards, nobody's a
Right.
buyer. So
Yeah.
no, I get it. So I do have a question for you, and you never want to make a knee-jerk reaction, but as a time listener, first-time caller to your show, Bo. So as you've talked about, as we get back to normal, you're going to have less time to spend on eBay.
Yeah.
Listing, packing, shipping, packing and shipping, I guess, are the same. So do you find that maybe this outlet for those $3 and below cards is well more worth it, with what you're making per hour, so to speak? And
Yeah.
you're shaking your head, yes, that, you've got, I don't want to say an infinite amount of boxes, but you have damn near an infinite amount of boxes to go through. So you're still spending time, but each individual card is a lot less time than pulling, sleeving, listing, packing.
Yeah.
So you find this is a good method. And and another thing I was going to say is, when you set up, say, 2 tables next time and you've got 12 monster boxes, everything's a quarter. Your job is so simple there. You're not dealing with all these other things. You mentioned the guy that had all the high end. Well, the people that came in that were just the high end, they were able to just go right past you and go to him. And the reverse is where if you're that seller that's trying to sell both high end, in your case, you say you have some high end cards, but you also want to deal with quarter cards. Well, now you plug up your table with the guys looking for the quarter cards, and you're not really selling those higher end because those people are walking by, and you've wasted real estate. So it was just one of those, it sounded good that you had, again, that top end guy. You had which, let's be honest, you were probably the bottom end guy. There may have been some dime boxes, and then there were all the people in between. And then one suggestion I would have, which you probably have already thought about, if you have the same, say you have the same 80% of dealers, and you have that same room, put them in the same place again.
Yeah.
Okay. Just something I've noticed that was done better here in Dallas than when I was in Indianapolis. And I personally, to me, as somebody that's walking in to purchase, that makes a big difference. I know that I'm going to go to this guy, and this guy, and everybody else that I've seen. I know I don't need to go because his inventory hasn't changed enough to be what I'm looking for.
And that's how I feel. I went to a show back in December in Spartanburg, and I missed the last one I had, but they have another one scheduled for May the 6th, I think, that I plan on going back to. And this guy had a ton of – I probably could have finished my 72 set with him had I had the funds to do it. But he had told me that he comes to every show, so I'm hoping that in May that I can walk back in there and go back to the same spot and be able to find him without having to go around the whole show looking for him. So I mean that's a big deal to a lot of people. Yeah,
and to go back to Ken, to your point about is it worth it to sell these quarter cards at a show? Absolutely. And as far as compared to doing the eBay, because I'm already seeing as it warms up, I'm seeing my card time start to, it's not Wisconsin January anymore. We're seeing better weather, and I'm outside a little more. I'm not stuck inside all day, all night. Because I went through the boxes, a couple nights ago, and it's like this card. Had it been January, I would have been throwing those on eBay for $2, $3,
Right.
$1.50. But now it's like, I don't have the time to ship all this stuff. I'm not listing 99-cent card now or $2 cards. I'm listing, $10 cards, and anything else like the $3 cards and below, I'm just sleeving those up and putting those in the card show boxes. So absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of just adjusting strategy based on the current, environment.
But
How much time do you think you spent on? How much time do you think you spent on for this card show? Because you basically said I'm guessing I did the math. You made about $200,
Mhm.
but you were kind of rushing around to do that. Now you've got 4 more weeks to do that. So yeah, I was just curious how much time you think you put into this particular show, just from your table setup standpoint.
This show didn't take too much time because I had a lot of the stuff already sleeved. I did a show last February, and it was mostly quarter box then.
He's gone.
So I had a lot.
Bo, go to your rent room, dude.
I might be frozen. I don't know.
Your AOL is not working, Bo.
Go to your rent room.
Reconnect your AOL dial-up.
Yeah, right? My 56K is off.
14.4.
All right, man.
So just
Somebody else
just-
talk.
well, just a quick thing. Funny enough, you said earlier you were talking about sorting, like should you sort them by team and stuff and whatever. When I dig through quarter boxes or dime boxes or whatever at the shops here, I generally end up sorting for the shop.
Yeah, right.
I don't know about anybody else, but I end up sorting for the shop because, like, I'll go in and I'm like, okay, I collect Cardinals, Bo collects Cubs, my other friend collects Yankees. So I'm putting a stack of every Cardinal, every Cub, every Yankee. And then after I've done that, I go back and I look, I'm like, well, I don't really want this one. So set it aside, set it aside, set it aside. So I end up with a half a stack that I want, a half a stack that I don't, and it's sorted. And I just put it back in the box. So I end up sorting for the person most of the time. So,
All right,
I've kind of inadvertently done that where if I notice, hey, you've got some 56s in your 52 section, let me just slide those right back to your 56s.
right.
All right, guys, we went over the 2-hour mark a little bit, so we're gonna go ahead and end this here. Everybody that watched, I appreciate you joining in, and for those that joined in on the video, I appreciate it. And we'll be back next month. We're gonna shoot somewhere for around the 3rd weekend, just like this one. We'll try to keep it at that. I hope to see everybody here, and until next time. Stay safe.